Muscles are built in bed. So if we are serious about getting strong, if we're serious about results, these results are not happening on the treadmill. They're happening when we're resting, when we're recovering, when we're taking time out.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the Happy Investor Podcast with me, Sophie, and I've got a lovely guest with us today. It's Kat Williams. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Sophie. Thanks for having me on. I'm super excited to be here.
When I, literally just before I sat down to speak to you, I thought, we need some music for Kat. We need Tina Turner.
Yeah. Bit of energy.
Last time I saw you, we were in Blackpool at a drag bar.
Oh my God, we were. Oh, what fun that was, wasn't it? And it's so random, but it had to be done in Blackpool.
Definitely. Yeah, we had the best time. So can you introduce yourself to the listeners and tell them all about you, what you've been up to, how you started out, what led you to where you are today, what you do now?
Yeah, of course. I'm Kat Williams. I am an advanced personal trainer. I'm a certified menopause coach. I've been doing this since, 30 years. So I have got some skin in the game when it comes to women's health and fitness. I qualified back in the 90s. I fell in love with helping women understand that fitness can be fun and non-overwhelming. And my career has really always been predominantly with females, because that's how I've just gravitated towards helping women. But working for big chains, I worked for a big chain called Fitness First for nearly 10 years, which really give me the grounding and the foundations of running a business, I'll be honest. I did everything from being on the gym floor. I was that typical hardworking gym instructor, and I worked my way all the way up to regional operations manager in Southeast Asia, and then went over to Sydney. So I did so much work with Fitness First, and I give so much credit to being in that company, because that's really what has helped me with my own business, including client retention, systems, customer care, exceeding expectations. So I did that for a long time, came home, got very homesick, having been in Sydney for a few years, and very quickly met my husband. He was a best man at a wedding.
Amazing.
And we were ready really to start a family quite quickly. So I had some time out from work, which was so nice to be able to be a mum, bring up my 2 children. And I had some time out, but it was slowly getting to the point where I was like, you know what, I fancy teaching a class. And at the time, this is going back now, maybe 17 years ago, Zumba was massive.
Oh, yes.
And I just had Ellis, my son, and I was chatting with a friend, and she says, you've got to qualify in Zumba. You'd be great at that. And I qualified in Zumba, and that's really when Zestfit, my fitness business, was born. And I started teaching in the community. And really, that was then the sort of start of my business, Zestfit. And that now has gone on a whole journey in itself. But started ultimately teaching classes in the community for young mums. And I built that community, eventually got my own studio just before lockdown as I turned 40, which was a dream come true. And that was phenomenal. I had 80 women in a class. I was,
80.
It was such a huge space, Sophie. And having had my own bricks and mortar, it was the dream. And lockdown came and things changed, obviously, for fitness and for gyms around that time. So I downsized my studio to a smaller studio, which was more smaller group PTs, but still teaching fitness and classes. And then from there, really, the lease was ending 4 years on. And I decided, you know what? I want more freedom. I want to pivot into the online space, which is what now I do. Ultimately, I'm mainly in online space coaching women in midlife, and I love it. So all the skills that I have learned from 30 years are now really coming to fruition in the online space, and helping women just cut through the noise and not feel overwhelmed, that fitness is fun. It doesn't have to be a grueling 5 sessions in the gym. So yeah, that's what I do right now, and that's how we met because we have the same business coach.
Yay! I feel like Zumba was the start of something, wasn't it? Like, I remember doing Zumba with my mum a long time ago. And she was like, "Yeah, but it's fun. It's like working out, but it's fun."
It
And
was
was
so
it
much
one of the
fun.
first things where you can just turn up and dance around, have a laugh?
Yeah, I mean, Zumba was massive and,
Yeah,
it still is big now, but it really was that shiny object all them years ago where everyone was like, "Oh my God, this is like the new aerobics," because it was so
yeah,
Latino, it was so funky, the merchandise, the music, and you could just, yeah, enjoy it. And don't get me wrong, so they were hard classes
yeah,
because you were shimmying and you were
yeah,
doing everything like for 60 minutes. But yeah,
yeah.
it was great fun.
Yeah, because I went with my mum a few times before I moved away, and we'd be like laughing at ourselves, trying to keep up, getting it wrong. And it's just the opposite of like, maybe going into a gym for the first time, being a bit intimidated, not knowing
Yeah.
what to do, or going on a crazy class or something like that. So, yeah, go Zumba.
Go Zumba, and it built such a big community, and I
Mm,
think that's what it is with fitness and women. You become part of a tribe, part of a sisterhood.
mm.
Everyone's like, "You going to that class tonight?" And it just got bigger and bigger.
Yeah, yeah. So, what would you say to someone like a woman now? She's listening, she's in her 30s or 40s. She's like, I don't feel very fit. I want to be fit and strong. Where do I even start?
You know what? It's baby steps always. I think as women, and that's a big part of what I do. I coach women to really empower them to go, you know what? Something small is better than nothing.
Mm,
So baby steps is always a good thing, whether that be just starting with a little bit of a walk at lunchtime, a little bit more water, something that is tiny, which can then cascade into something else. So it's really about just start small. It doesn't have to be kitchen sink it. Let's join a gym and do everything. And then suddenly you're like, I can't fit this in with the kids, with the business. Start steady and
mm,
build your routine. I think ultimately that's what it's about. And once you start building that routine and consistency, you then go, I'm loving this. I feel great. This is the endorphin. This is me time.
mm.
This is what I need. And that could just be carving out 10 minutes on a yoga mat in your back bedroom. It doesn't have to be loads of time and effort. So I
Yeah,
would say baby steps. We're not used to doing that as women. We're used to like, it's got to be good. It's got to be
yeah,
hard. It's got to be exhausting, but pulling that back and then starting steady is really the key, I would say.
yeah. What about strength? Like we hear being strong is really important for our bones as we get older. What can we be doing to be stronger?
Oh, we can do so much. We could do it with 2 bags of sugar in the kitchen, or we could get a personal trainer and really start
Mm,
to learn technique and strength training. But strength training is really the main course when you get into your 30s, 40s, 50s. So
uh-huh.
I always use this analogy. Your strength training is like your steak and chips. That is your main course. It's a non-negotiable because it's really going to help you with longevity,
Mm,
strength, energy, just being independently mobile forever. We
yeah.
see so many things now where women are getting not using any strength training and don't know where to start. And then your cardio can be your prawn cocktail. It can wrap around your strength training, and your Pilates and your yoga and your walking can be your Pavlova. So you've sort of
Mm,
doing the whole stretch. But it can be so intimidating with strength training because if you're similar age to us, it's not something that we're used to doing, unless you
mm.
work in the industry. So it can feel really intimidating. So it's starting with just a small set of dumbbells, jumping on YouTube or getting a coach and going, right, what can I do in 10 minutes with a kettlebell or with a set of dumbbells? And
I
it's
love it. You make everything so simple. You're like, just start with a little bit. Just start with a little bit.
just start with a little bit and then you fall
Mm,
in love with it and you
yeah.
realize your body shape starts to change.
Mm,
But also, when you start strength training, you see how that reflects in real life. So, either picking up the shopping or,
yeah.
grabbing your luggage and putting it in the overhead locker. things that you want to be doing to be independent for as long as you can.
Yeah, definitely. What about food? Tell us what we should be eating every day, Kat. What should we be eating? What do people get wrong with food?
I think because we are so used to that diet, that toxic diet
Oh,
mentality, any women that are listening understand that you're in your 40s and 50s, we have restricted ourselves. We have dieted because we think that's the way to get smaller, or that's the way that, okay, I've got a holiday coming, I need to cut carbs. But the paradox is, as you get older in midlife, you need to fuel your body and your brain so that you can turn up and show up as that
mm,
badass businesswoman. And that is with a really good protein first approach. So you
mm,
see loads about protein at the moment if you're on Instagram, but it really is queen. You know, protein is queen to help with that strength training, with energy, with hormones. And I would say the average woman in the UK at the moment is probably only eating about 20 to 30 grams of protein a day. So if I have a client who said, okay, tell me what you're eating for a typical day, she might say, well, I might have a coffee and a banana or some crunchy nut cornflakes. Then I might have an apple, and then I might have cheese and tomato sandwich and a packet of crisp, and then I'll have spag bowl with the kids. So if we look at that day, there is very little protein in that
mm,
day, which is going to help fuel our brain and our body, and quite a lot of carbs. So it's about going, right, where can I implement protein? So for a woman typically of my age, I'm 49, I need about 90 grams. And it sounds a lot, but simplistically, you can break that down into 3 meals. So you could
mm.
go 30, 30, 30. And if that feels too much, then just build yourself to that. And you'll
Amazing.
find that you feel fuller for longer,
Mm,
your energy skyrockets, and you will drop a dress size.
mm. It's just
And
little
then,
things, isn't it?
yeah, protein's best mate, her bestie is fiber.
Mhm.
So fiber comes in to wrap around that protein intake, and that is all the goodness that we need, the pulses, the chickpeas, the lentils, the fruit, the veg, anything that's really going to help it, that we all need this. We all know this, plenty of
Yeah.
fruit and veg. And that fiber should be typically about 20 to 30 grams a day. And I know hearing this for some women, they're like, oh, how am I measuring this? But
Mm,
it soon becomes really easy to guesstimate
mm,
20 to 30 grams a day. And then you start to learn, okay, I put my chia seeds in my porridge. I'll have a little bit more spinach. I'll have a little bit more greens. And you start to then up your fiber. And that's really good for just losing the bloat. Again,
mm.
better digestive system, balanced hormones, all the good stuff that we need as we
Yeah.
get
Do we need
midlife.
to be taking vitamins and supplements, things like that? Magnesium, I've heard about.
Yeah, magnesium is a great supplement. I think
Mm,
if I was to recommend a couple of supplements for anyone to want to spend any money on, it would be magnesium because it's great for muscular recovery and great for sleep, great for anything restless leg syndrome, anything
mm,
like that. And vitamin D because we don't
mhm.
get enough sunshine in the beautiful UK. I would say that would be enough. Maybe your omega-3, 6, 9s if you're not eating enough fish, because we know fish is great for heart
Yeah.
health. But honestly, you don't need to waste your money. If your nutrition is positive,
Yeah.
then that is the place to start.
Mm.
And I always sort of liken it to just eat like your great grandparents ate. Meat, veg,
Yeah.
colour, eat the rainbow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Eat the rainbow. It's as easy as that, really. And it's difficult with children, it's difficult with businesses, and we're up against it because everything is so quick and easy. Grab this, grab that. So I get it. Prep has to be involved, meal prep and organization. But I coach my women that just 20-minute meal prep block a week would be sufficient,
Mm.
to go, right, let me do all my breakfast for the week.
Yeah.
you know, it takes the decision fatigue away.
Yeah. And what about fasting or intermittent fasting? Is this a thing you recommend?
Yeah, I'm a real fan of fasting. I think it's got its place for
Mm.
sure. I've had some clients on intermittent fasting, the 16/8 model, who've had some brilliant results. But I also like to understand that they're eating enough of that protein and fiber
Mm.
in that 8-hour window. So that can be challenging, especially if you're doing the 16/8 model.
Mhm.
But everyone's different. And I think if fasting you respond to fasting well and your energy's good and you're getting enough adequate protein and fiber, then yes, why not? But some women can't cope without a coffee in the morning or without their
Mm.
overnight oats. So everyone's so
I know.
different, and
Yeah.
I try and meet my clients where they're at. So if
Mm.
they're like, I love fasting, like, okay, let's do that. But can we make sure that it's not in
Yeah.
affecting your performance, your sleep, your energy, and showing up as the best you can be. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely got a place. But again, protein is queen. So
Mhm.
she's got to get into them 8 hours window.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a
This is
smart way,
gold, Kat.
Sophie. Yeah, fasting's a really smart way to cut your calories
Mm.
down without counting calories. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a smart strategy.
So what does your business look like at the moment, Kat? How do you work with people?
So I do a lot of one-to-ones where my clients would book me for 9 months, 6 months, 3 months. And typically that is if they're in a real rut with, their weight or their
Mhm.
energy, or they just don't know where to start when it comes to nutrition and strength training. And they work really well because what I find, Sophie, is it's accountability
Yes.
more
Yeah.
than anything. I think we get to a place, don't we, where we've got the children and the businesses and, our husbands, where just tell me what I need to do and check that I'm doing it.
Yeah.
It's that golden accountability, which I
Mm.
find is really what I get so much out of in those one-to-one Fit Female programs. My programs are called, and I have a Fit Female collective, so it's a similar process, but I've got a group of 8 women in that, and we commit to a 6-month journey of whatever that looks like for them. And normally it's about just cutting through the noise and
Mhm.
not feeling overwhelmed. Like, what am I going to do? Do I do Pilates? Do I do the gym? Do I swim? Do I fast? Just help me get into some sort of structure.
Do you know
So
what? There is
they're my
so
two.
much noise out there, isn't there? Like,
Yeah,
even you can kind of see it through the decades, can't you? Like, the ideal body shape in the 90s was like very, very thin, heroin or whatever, heroin
heroin
chic.
chic.
Then
Yeah.
it's like the Kardashians where you need all the curves, and you can just see it happening now in these phases, and it's like, well, you're obviously not gonna have every ideal body type in every decade, so let's just be who we are and embrace and be the strongest and fittest we can be. So there's all that noise about what the media thinks you should look like. Then there's all the different diets and the nutritions, and this is good for you, this is bad for you. And it's just on media and thrown at us. It's really
Oh,
hard to
it's harder
yeah.
now, isn't it, than ever? I mean, back
Yeah.
then in the 90s, I would be prescribing cardio alone, and that would be okay. We wouldn't be looking at any Instagram, social media, we wouldn't be, seeing so much
Mm.
information. It was quite clear cut. We only had the magazines that we could flick through. Whereas you're right, now it becomes so overwhelming. And that's really where my client comes to me and like, I
Yeah.
need to lose weight, but I literally am being bombarded with so many different things. What do I do? And you know what? It's so simple when you know how, Sophie.
Mm.
And I think because we have that noise and we are typically of an age where we've seen every diet, we've been on every diet,
Mhm.
and then suddenly them diets are not working for us anymore. I think that's my typical client. She would come to me and go, I've tried everything. It's not working.
Mm.
What can I do? I've done everything that I used to do, or I train like I used to train 5 years ago. It's not working. And then we really simplify it. Like I said at the start, we just go right back to basics, back to baseline. Tell me what your week looks like. And then we can build some real simple structure. And then they're equipped for life, really. They then don't have to go, right, I need to
Mhm.
do
Yeah.
that, that diet, that
Mm.
diet.
You can take it with you for life. And you
Yeah.
mentioned menopause earlier. So how does this change how women should eat or exercise?
I mean, hormonally, we're all over the place. We're
Yeah.
tired, we're fatigued, so we really need to be kinder to
Mm,
ourselves. It's not about intensity anymore. When we get to perimenopause and menopause, it's about smarter sessions. So
mm,
rather than intensity, it's about doing less but doing a really impactful session. So if you train 3 times a week, that would be absolutely fine because rest is key, Sophie, which sometimes we're not good at, are we,
mm.
as
Yeah,
women?
I've been having so many conversations about this recently.
We're not good at rest and recovery, and muscles are built in bed. So if we are serious about getting strong, if we're serious about results, these results are not happening on the treadmill. They're
Mm,
happening when we're resting, when we're recovering, when we're taking time out, which is really hard to wrap your head around because at we are at the pinnacle of our careers, so we are really going for it. We're just like,
mm,
right, I'm going to smash it. So we do something different in our fitness and movement. We've got to pull back a little bit.
mm.
Um, so it's being kinder to yourself and giving yourself permission that less is more. It really is. So I would say that is the main takeaway for anyone really struggling with perimenopause and menopause. Look after your joints. Don't feel like you've got to hammer the cardio. Find that walking, find movement and swimming or anything like that that was really suitable for you rather than going, but my mate's doing CrossFit and she's smashing out the
Mm,
burpees. It doesn't matter. Whatever suits you is okay. Because we can be comparing ourselves to our friends or to our colleagues who may be fit as fiddles and not getting any symptoms.
mm,
So
mm.
it's giving yourself permission to go, right, what's good for me at this moment in time.
Yeah, amazing. Oh, I could talk to you all day, Kat.
Am I
So,
motivated a little bit?
um, yeah, I'm gonna take the dog out after this. We're gonna go on a little walk. It's nice and sunny
Good,
today for once.
good.
Thank you so much. We can put links to the Fit Female Collective and all the places they can work with you. Where would you like people to come and find you if they want to connect with
Come
you?
and find me on Instagram. I love Instagram. I'm on Instagram a lot. I get a lot of great positive interaction on Instagram. So yeah, I'm Coach Catherine Williams on Instagram. I'll drop the link to you. So, and anyone, any questions, just my inbox is open. Just ask me anything. I'm absolutely, love to help any women who are feeling overwhelmed and need some support.
Thank you so much, Kat. And thank you for joining me on the podcast. And I'll see you soon.
My pleasure. Thanks, Sophie.